Hello, we have a third line day. We are in gate 58, the joyous, the gate of aliveness. And in this third line, it is called electricity. This line can be a great tease. Well, third lines can drive people crazy. Imagine that you're a boss and you hire yourself a third line and they look so good. And, for a week or a month, maybe you've got all this kind of feels excellent. And then you've got all these expectations about them. But then they break the bond, they leave. Think about that in the context of providing energy for challenge. We know the headline for Gate 58 says stimulation is the key to joy. The stimulation comes from being able to release the energy and challenge authority only then, which means that in the first three lines, it always is something difficult because they don't really know that there's something on the other side. They just have all this energy within them. The exaltation, the individual whose electric vitality creates its own stimulation and is not dependent on others. The energy to fuel independent stimulation. This is classic lower trigram. They're in on their own process. They've got their own energy. They don't know there's another. But of course, it's a third line. They're going to bang into other people. And when they do, the other person says, oh, you have logical collective energy. That's for me. And the third line says, nope, not yours. It's actually mine because I've had enough of you. I don't know who the hell you are. I'm going back and I'm going to stimulate myself. Phenomenal. So, they're very sought after. They keep on banging around with their energy, and other people want to tap into it. If you have a defined motor in your design, and a defined motor is kind of a metaphor for a full purse or a full wallet, you just think about it in that way because it helps. It's just energy. This is what the motors are, they're energy. And the wallet is full if you've got a defined motor. So the moment anyone who doesn't have one of these full wallets meets you and steps into your aura, they immediately go for your wallet. I'm not sure if this is a good metaphor or not. But if you have a defined motor, it's really important for you to recognize other people want your energy. It's not like anyone goes around saying, hey, look, that one's got three motors. They're just naturally drawn to it. They're naturally attracted to it. And so, of course, the 58-3, this wonderful energy for the whole logic process, is deeply attractive to the collective. So they bang in and the collective tries to grasp it, hold on to it. And of course, that can't happen because the third line is designed to break the bonds. They're designed to build an experiential process and move through their behavioral theme from the martyr to the role model because that's their process. In the detriment, the quality of fire is dependent on its fuel and subject to its influence, good or bad. The energy for aliveness that is dependent on others for stimulation. You just bang in. And we always want to be what we're not, So the 58 always wants to be the 18, but the 58 lower trigram doesn't know there's an 18. So every time they meet that force on the other side, they get really excited. It seems that all of a sudden there's an outlet, a true, authentic outlet for that pressure. Now the 58 gate of stress. So when you meet the 58th gate, it immediately stresses you out. That's what it's there to do. It puts you under pressure because that makes it easier to challenge authority. If the authority is stressed out, so much easier to wind it up and challenge it. The collective circuit is, by its very nature, the most social of all circuitry. When we come to the tribe or the individual, they have specific social gates or social channels. There's no social channel per se in the collective circuitry because they're all social. That's the nature of the beast. It's the most social of all circuitry. When you get to the upper trigram and the transpersonal karma, the transpersonal capacity that can recognize that there's a gate at the other end of the channel, and how different the 58 is when it knows that it has to select the right 18 in order to successfully move its energy and find its joy in its challenge. The way the lower trigram operates is very different from how the upper trigram operates. Challenge isn't a bad thing. No, challenge is necessary. It's there to overthrow the pattern that authority represents. It's inherent in logical processes that no pattern, no authority can be allowed an absolute reality, that they must all be subject to the examination and assessment of the collective on a continuing basis. Repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse. Our whole collective system is based on that. The constant challenge to pattern. In most cases, when you're challenging a pattern, you're really hoping that you'll fail, because to discover that there's actually something wrong with the pattern means the whole collective has to be changed, and that is a big deal. Think about the field of science. Every now and then, somebody will come out with a statement about something, or they'll release findings of an experiment they've done, and almost immediately you have whole teams of people around the world challenging it. They're instantly asking for all of the data. They want to redo all of the experiments. They're in there checking it out. 9 times out of 10, they find it doesn't work. But there is the energy for challenge. That's the collective process, and it is absolutely essential for us. So don't be thinking that this challenging thing is simply about overthrowing the authority or challenge for challenge's sake. It isn't. It often looks that way. That's the superficiality of what we call the Oedipus Electra in the 18th gate. Instead of the pattern of parenthood, which may or may not be correct, you challenge the parents themselves. The real challenge to the pattern of parenthood. And no, hold on, what am I trying to say? Can we rewind that? I wish you could do that. It'd be really great if you could do that, wouldn't it? So what the 18 does, because one of the things the 18 is always doing, the main challenge, the authority they're challenging is their parents. That's where challenge always begins. And if they're in a safe environment when they're younger, then fantastic. They learn how to challenge authority correctly, if you like. But here what might happen then, instead of the pattern of parenthood, which may or may not be correct, it's the parents that get challenged. But what should happen is the challenge to parenthood. That's what I'm trying to say, because it's not supposed to be personal. That's the whole thing with the collective. It's not personal. It feels like it's very social and but it's not personal within all of that. And what you're trying to do is establish whether the pattern is valid. Through that challenge, you're trying to find that out, whether it should be thrown over and a new system should be developed. And in terms of parenthood, there's been a vast experiment going on in the last 60, 70 years, overthrowing the norms or the old thinking, the traditions of parenthood. Root gates are not awareness gates. And this lower trigram root center, they don't really know that there's another side and that the awareness is at the other side. There are so many people like that. You have somebody with the exaltation who has a lot of resources, maybe great wealth, for example, and they have somebody who comes to them and says, I've got this really good idea. Can you help me out? And even if it is a good idea, they'll say, no, I have my own idea that I'm working on, my own experiment that I'm delving into. They want to do their own thing. They make a lot of mistakes that way because this is collective, and logic is deeply interdependent on collectivity, and it's all about sharing. All of these things are so important when you bring them together and you see the whole nature of what it is, how it's designed to operate. The detriment recognizes very early that they can't get their energy out without others. We have a channel in logic that goes from the G center to the throat. It's called the alpha. It's the 731. The alpha is intrinsic in the logical process, and built into this third line is an essential element that says, Even though we have a collective, it still must be led by an alpha. And the 58.3 in the exalted wants to be an alpha. It doesn't just want to be the one who is following and providing the energy. No, it wants to be the alpha that is leading. The grounding comes from gate 52 in the third line, which is called controls. It is the external enforcement of inaction. We all have to live our own nature if we want to avoid being controlled or having our energy abused. If you know your own nature and you can live correctly as you are designed to, then whatever happens is going to be correct. You may still have the appearance of being controlled, but it takes on a different frequency when you enter into the situation correctly. It's the same with giving away your energy to others or keeping it for yourself. Whatever label is put on that, it doesn't matter because you are operating correctly. The moon has been in gate 14 since 0901, possession in great measure, the individual sacral gate of power skills. It moves into gate 34 at 2000. More sacral individuality in this gate of power, this asexual, powerful gate that has the potential for 3 channels. It could meet the 57 in the splenic center for the channel of power, the 10 in the G center for the channel of exploration, or the gate 20 in the throat for the channel of charisma. This is a complex, fairly self-absorbed individual energy. And we have a double sun transit today, so I will be back with line 4 a bit later on, around 2000 GMT, just as the moon is moving into gate 34. So we have powerful entry into the 4th line for gate 58. So until then, take care. As always, go gently and look after yourselves. Love yourselves. That's the best way, isn't it? Love yourselves. Okay. Bye-bye.